We know by now that Slippery Starmer is a shapeshifter, but his fantasy today to present himself as some sort of anti-immigration advocate who hasn't spent his political career advocating for open borders and free movement takes the cake. Look, I know what Labour is trying to do, and it's politically clever if dishonest. As the likely next government, they are working 2 years out from the next election to neutralise areas where they will be vulnerable to attacks from the right. But the policy does not back their rhetoric. So speaking to the CBI today, Starmer talked tough in his prepared address.
We will expect you to bring forward a clear plan to boost skills and more training, for better pay and condition, for investment in new technology. But our common goal must be to help the British economy off its immigration dependency, to start investing more in training workers who are already here. Migration is part of our national story, always has been, always will be. But let me tell you, the days when low pay and cheap labour are part of the British way on growth must end.
Sounds good, right? But the reality of his policy is altogether different. There is no target to reduce the number of immigrants and no plan to stop the invasion of illegal migrants via our weak southern border. In fact, when pushed, Starmer would only say he would take a, quote, pragmatic approach to the numbers, which in reality means even more arrivals, putting pressure on our already stretched NHS and housing system.
How far would your pragmatic approach go in terms of increasing immigration in the short term? And how much is your stance on this driven by political considerations as much as economic ones?
Well, Alex, just let me take the final part of that question first, because I am utterly frustrated at the short-term fixes. I will be pragmatic, of course I do. I don't want a repeat of what we saw last year with HGV drivers. I get that. As I say, that's anti-growth and anti-business.
So what exactly does Starmer mean by being pragmatic? You only need to look at his own public statements and policy positions to find the answer. Like the letter he sent to the Labour for Free Movement campaign in 2020, where he wrote, "I believe free movement should be protected as we leave the EU, and I am very concerned at the impact free movement will inevitably have on our economy." Or how about his own tweet where he insists we have to make the case for freedom of movement and we have to make it strongly, coupled with this video from the day we finally left the EU.
So we have to make the case for the benefits of migration, the benefits of free movement. I want people in this country to be able to go and work abroad, in Europe. And I want people in Europe to be able to come and continue to work here.
As a Conservative spokesman responded today, Starmer is a dyed-in-the-wool open borders advocate who wants to give illegal migrants priority access to work permits. His shadow Home Secretary won't even say if she wants to see the level of immigration fall. And that's the problem we have at the moment. The Tories have been taken over by socialists in an anti-democratic globalist coup, with Suella Braverman the only true Brexiteer and Conservative in the cabinet. But the alternative we could be facing for 5 years under Slippery Starmer is far more terrifying.